can't take verses out of context. The Bible is not a book of Proverbs. Yes, there's a book of Proverbs in the Bible, but only those passages can you just take out and say, okay, here's a nugget of wisdom.
My question is, why do Christians determine whether we should take part of Scripture more seriously than others?
Why do Christians determine?
Why
do you mean? What do you mean?
Because I've been told that we shouldn't listen to some passages as hard as the other ones.
Who told you that?
I couldn't tell you.
You can tell me. I won't tell anyone. There's only thousands of people watching. Go ahead.
Well, just because I wouldn't know.
Okay. Well, maybe what happened was teachers may have said, this particular passage has more life application to you than some other passage. Maybe that's what they meant. And that could be true, right? For example, the books called the epistles from Romans to Jude, those probably have more life application to present-day Christians than, say, 2 Chronicles, which is just chronicles some of the kings in the Old Testament, right? Some of the happenings. They're both important, but how you live today is more talked about in the epistles than it is in 2 Chronicles. So maybe that's what he meant, or whoever gave you that information.
It was more like we should live by the New Testament rather than the Old.
Well, it depends on what you mean by that. It is true that the Old Covenant is obsolete. That's what the writer of Hebrews says. So everything from Exodus 20 to the end of Deuteronomy, all those laws there, including the 10 Commandments, were just for Israel. Only if those commands are repeated in the New Testament are they binding on Christians. And they are repeated. 9 of the 10 commandments are repeated in the New Testament. Only keep holy the Sabbath is not, because Jesus is our Sabbath. He's our rest. But a lot of the Old Testament, obviously the dietary laws no longer apply. The ceremonial law doesn't apply anymore. It applied just to ancient Israel. It doesn't apply to us today. This is also why, well, some of you are going to hate me for this, but I don't care. I'm leaving tomorrow, okay? This is also why you should never say Jeremiah 29:11 is a promise to you. What's Jeremiah 29:11? You guys know what Jeremiah 29:11 is, right? Oh, the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, plans to give you hope in a future. Is that a promise to 21st century Christians living in Beaumont, Texas? No. Who is that a promise to? That was a promise to the exiles who were taken out of Judah in 586 BC by the Babylonian dictator Nebuchadnezzar. He came down to Judah and he just destroyed Jerusalem and the temple, and he took a bunch of people to modern-day Iraq, Babylon. And what God was saying through the prophet Jeremiah to those exiles was that 70 years later he was going to prosper them. He's got plans for them, right? And it turned out that exactly 70 years later, in 516 BC, they began to rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. But it's not a promise to us today. When people say, oh, Jeremiah 29:11, I'm claiming that for me. When they say that, I say to them, hey, why don't you claim Jeremiah 44:11 as a promise to you? What does Jeremiah 44:11 say? Jeremiah 44:11 is a promise that God made to the exiles that went to Egypt. And he warned them, don't go to Egypt. You know what Jeremiah 44:11 says? It says, I will destroy you and all Judah. You don't see that stitched into a pillow. You don't see that on a coffee mug. You don't see that on a birthday card, happy birthday. I will destroy you and all Judah. That is so sweet, Grandma. Thank you so much. No. In other words, Thomas, your teacher may have been saying, we can't take verses out of context. The Bible is not a book of Proverbs. Yes, there's a book of Proverbs in the Bible, but only those passages can you just take out and say, okay, here's a nugget of wisdom. The other passages, you need to read around and see what's going on. And not every promise you read in the Bible is a promise to you or me. It may have been a promise to the Israelites or the people that just went to Babylon or somebody else. right? We've got to figure that out by looking at the context. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Thomas.